Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast series To the Top. My name is Manuel and today our guest is João Sousa, former student of ISEG and now investment banking vice president at Citi. Hi João, thank you for accepting our invitation and joining
thanks
us.
for inviting me.
So my first question for you is, which degree did you take at ISEG?
I took economics. I think you still have that. There used to be management and then separately economics, and I took economics.
And can you tell us a little bit more about your journey from the moment you went out of ISEG until today?
Yes. So as I said, I studied economics at ISEG, and then. Look, at the time, I don't know if I was a little bit immature or I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. But after I left ISEG, I was struggling to really find what I wanted to do and something that was exciting. So I actually ended up going and doing another undergraduate degree in hospitality management, actually, which I did in Switzerland. It was just, I wanted to do something a little bit more practical, that I knew exactly what type of business I was going to work in when I finished studying. So I did that, and I finished in 2010. And I then went into hospitality management. I did all kinds of things in that business, starting from front office management, so down to checking people in and out, and then progressing to managing other people. And I continued working in that business. I ended up focusing more on real estate and finance within hotel management, and kind of went a little bit full circle because I started realizing, operations in hotels is a fun job, but is somewhat not as analytically inclined as I felt that I was. So I decided to do an MBA. This was back in 2014. I went to Cornell for my MBA just because I chose that school based on, they have a very strong hotel management program. They have a very strong real estate program. So I felt like I was going to ease into a new world by going to a place that had some touch points with my prior career. And when I got there, I knew I wanted to do something that intersected my background. So hospitality, finance, real estate, intersected the three sort of aspects of my background, but in a more like corporate level. And I didn't even know investment banks had real estate and lodging teams. By the way, I'm in the real estate and lodging team, which means we advise clients in the real estate and lodging world. And so I started speaking to people at the banks in New York, and I felt like, okay, let me give this a shot. The system, the recruitment system, basically you do an internship in the middle of your MBA, and then if you do well, you get a full-time offer. So that's what I did. I did my internship here in the summer of 2015. And was invited to come back in the summer of 2016. And so I've been here for 6 years now.
And you have been working in several countries, I think, such as Spain, Belgium, and now the United States of America. What were the reasons for you to leave Portugal?
I think that I think now things are changing. So I'm 36 now. I was born in 1985. Back in the time that I was going to, start to find out my career, so early 2000s, more or less, things were people were very negative in Portugal. Older people, including older people, that every person you spoke to was sort of, very down, ambition was low. So sort of for everybody in my generation, I think for people in your generation, fortunately, people are more positive and older people are more positive, but you just didn't feel any excitement, about building a career in Portugal. You didn't feel like it was just not exciting. So and then people painted, having an international career as being the best thing you could ever do. And as a young person, you see that and you kind of get attracted by it. Never mind if it's good or bad, you just get attracted by it. So I always wanted to go and work in a foreign country. And it's been a good experience so far. I think different countries have different cultures, and different work cultures. I think in terms of personalities and things like that, people are more similar than what we think. But work culture are completely different in Europe versus the United States. That's for sure.
And you already told me what you do at Citi, but can you explain it a little bit more? And can you explain what are your career goals now?
Yep. So, so investment banks are very simply, they're organized in industry groups and product groups. So industry groups cover companies within specific sectors. So you have companies within industrials, consumer and retail, real estate and lodging, my case, financial institutions, all kinds of stuff. And then in the product side, you have M&A and you have capital markets, and some other groups, but those two are the biggest ones. And so in my team, in the real estate and lodging team, what we do is we advise companies in that space on M&A, on things related to M&A, so all kinds of deals, and then capital markets, basically issuing debt and equity, some balance sheet loans as well, but mostly that. So spend most of my time speaking to executives on their plans for M&A, on their plans for financing, capital structure, things like that. I think most of my time is mostly spent in M&A, and it can be all kinds of deals. A public company wanting to buy another public company, a public company wanting to sell themselves, and so comes to us, and we help them find the right buyer for them. Or it could be, in the case of real estate, it could be a private equity fund that wants to sell a portfolio of assets, and we help them do that by connecting with buyers in the market. That can be other public companies or other private equity companies, publicly traded companies, or pension funds, insurance funds, things like that. I think the second part of your question was what is my plan for my career? Look, currently I am enjoying what I do, continuing to develop relationships with clients, and so the current plan is to continue growing in the business. But I have plans of being changing a little bit into more of an entrepreneurial role. I don't know exactly when, but that's something that I'm working on, sort of in the background and the little free time that I have. So I think in the future, I don't know if it's medium term, long term, I will work on something more entrepreneurial and hopefully return to Portugal, which is something I'd like to do.
That would be great for Portugal. Now the most important question, at least for me, do you have any advice for students that are currently studying at ISEG, or even for those who are starting a career in the financial world?
Yeah, look, I think one basic advice that I try to give, younger people that I speak to is, try to read as much as you can and speak to as many people as you can that actually do the jobs that you're thinking of doing. Don't let people that are maybe 30, 40, and at the same time, don't let people that are 30, 40, 50 years older than you tell you what you should do in the job market that is completely different from the job market that they grew up in, right? So in Portugal, people think you can only be basically a lawyer, a doctor, or call it, a business manager or something like that, an economist, something like that. We now live, and particularly for your generation, we now live in a world that there are a lot of other jobs that you can do. And, I would encourage everyone to be open to ideas and not be so focused that, I have to graduate from ISEG and go and work at a consulting company. That's what I have to do. I think Portugal is a great startup scene as much as, I obviously haven't lived there in a long time, but from my connections there, I think there are a lot of new interesting companies there. And I think people should really explore those opportunities. And the second thing would be to, in your vacation, and that's something we don't have the custom of doing. I think it's changing, but it's not as widespread as in the United States, for example, which is on vacation, summer vacation, to take internships, ideally paid internships. I don't believe in unpaid internships. I think if you work, you should get paid. You're getting paid, with experience, but you should get paid with cash, right? Or some other form of monetary compensation, I think is important, so that you can, start developing that, very acute sense of the value of work. But I would encourage people to try and do internships during your summer vacation, so you can, get a feel. Do I like doing this? Do I not like doing this? Am I good at this? Am I not good at this? And then thirdly, I think, although it always sounds bad to give this kind of advice, but I would advise people to try and have some international experience. I think it does two things. One, it exposes you to different ways of doing things. It does more than two things. It exposes you to new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, new ways of working. It then also, it gives you a lot of confidence in your abilities, because it's not easy to leave your country and go to a completely different environment, different company. It's much harder than it sounds, I think. And if you can succeed in doing that, then you have a lot of confidence that you can do whatever you put your mind to. So those would be my sort of advice. Don't pay too much attention to what people say in terms of, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you need to do this. But at the same time, speak to a lot of people, right? Don't put too much importance on what one person says. Speak to a lot of people and make your own mind about what you think is right for you. Work in the summer and try to have an international experience.
All right. Thank you very much, João. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.